The city cracks down on vaccines going into the arms of line jumpers as city and state officials worry about the spike in infections. All that and much more are the focus of our Spotlight Politics team. Welcome back, Amanda Vinicky, Heather Sharon, and Paris Schutt. So as we said, we've got some breaking news tonight, guys. We're just learning that Loretto Hospital's COO, Dr. Anosh Ahmed, resigned from his post. This after accusations continue to mount against Loretto Hospital's exclusive vaccine distribution, with one ER employee saying there was a VIP line. Take a look.
We know our community. Me being an ER tech, I know my community. I've been there for 15 years. So I've seen certain people all the time. I've seen co-workers, family, loved ones. But then we get certain different groups of people that has come to the hospital all of a sudden. And it's like, it seems kind of odd. At times, it seems that there's a VIP line for certain people.
Paris, the story just keeps getting worse and worse, and I know you've done some reporting on this. The hospital denying those VIP lines, but today there were new revelations about employees at a Gold Coast steakhouse that the COO used to frequent, that they got vaccines. The restaurant denies this, and now we're hearing that the COO has resigned.
Yeah, and again, this was from Block Club, another connection to the COO, Ahmed, that has resigned. And we have an exclusive story on our website about these so-called VIP lines that workers started complaining about, apparently since the vaccine distribution began back in January. Now, what happened was several workers started raising eyebrows at groups of people they say were being ushered to the front of the line. Now, what they'll say is ethnically, demographically, they were not the normal patients of Loretto Hospital. They were not West Side residents, according to these workers. So they brought their complaints to the union, SEIU Healthcare. I spoke with the person that represents Loretto's workers with the union, Ann Igo, and basically what she said was they fielded all these complaints. They went to the CEO, George Miller. Miller denied that there was anything improper, that there was any kind of VIP access, that anyone was getting special access, basically turned a cold shoulder on that. And so, you know, the employees said that that wasn't acceptable, that, and of course, you heard on our show last night, Mr. Thomas saying it, spoke to some other employees that were echoing those same things. And of course, WBEZ reports that judges were improperly getting vaccinated there, and then all those other revelations from Block Club. And now we learn in a statement that the board has voted to accept the resignation of the COO, Anosh Ahmed, who is at the center of all these. And, you know, we still have more questions. Is there a severance package? How much is that? So we're going to have to see how that plays out. And
a lot more, I'm sure we'll learn in the coming days, as so many reporters are following this, yourself included. Amanda, there are a number of state representatives, though, on the executive board of Loretto Hospital. One of them, Representative LaShawn Ford, who joined Paris here on the show last night, stepping down from the hospital's board of trustees. Why are 3 lawmakers associated with this hospital?
So you have one state representative. These are all Democrats from Chicago, all Black individuals. You have LaShawn Ford, who, as you noted, has resigned over frustrations with how this was handled. State Senator Kim Lightford is on the board. In fact, she is the vice chair of it. And then Camille Lilly isn't on the board, but she serves as I believe, the vice president of external affairs. This, of course, as Loretto is coming under fire, not just for the vaccine situation, but also for its handling of it and a lack of transparency, including what sort of reprimand the CEO, George Miller, was given. He has not resigned or been terminated at all, nor has he really answered any questions to
No, he hasn't. And what we've learned, Amanda, is that he is still working at the hospital. So reprimand just was kind of a word. There's no paid or unpaid leave, but we've heard from several workers and Loretto that Miller is still working at the hospital. And up until today, Ahmed was still working there too, just not doing vaccinations.
And Heather, you know, when, if ever, will Loretto start to get more vaccines, according to the mayor and CDPH?
Not anytime soon. They are indefinitely cut off, and I would be surprised if their access is ever restored. The city is moving forward with plans to contract with other companies to make sure that the residents of Austin, which has been particularly hard hit by the pandemic, have access to the vaccine. But I can tell you that my inbox has been filled with people worried that they're not going to be able to, you know, keep their appointment that they made several weeks ago, or they're not going to be able to come back for their second dose. So there's a lot of concern that all of this scandal will, of course, land hardest on those most vulnerable to the pandemic, those Black Chicagoans who need these life-saving vaccines that are still in very short supply.
Now, there's also concern about CPS employees because, earlier this week, the mayor said, she predicted that, unfortunately, there may be more stories like this, and there has been. The city is pulling vaccines from Innovative Express Care. It's the company that was giving CPS employees vaccines under a $5 million contract. Innovative Express Care, Heather, is defending their distribution. The mayor disagrees, saying there was no communication breakdown. What happened in this instance, Heather?
Well, it seems like Innovative Express Care took all of the vaccine that they were given by CDPH and put it in every available arm. Well, the city says that they shouldn't have done that. They should have held back a portion to make sure that all of those CPS workers were able to get a second shot, and that they should not have been offered to other people other than CPS workers. Now, the CEO of the company, who's been very public on Facebook saying we didn't do anything wrong, he said, look, what we did was try to get as much vaccine in as many people as possible. But Mayor Lightfoot today, after today's city council meeting, was not having that. She said, no, they broke the agreement that they made with the city and they're cut off. And this was no small amount of vaccine. This was a $5 million contract. And Brandis, you had covered what a hot button issue it was for the teachers to get vaccinated before schools reopened. So the mayor was very, very clear that this was unacceptable.
Absolutely. And we're talking about 6,000 vaccines that CDPH is saying were misallocated. But Amanda, meanwhile, COVID infections are trending up. How concerned are individuals?
Well, I think officials are most certainly concerned. And as I talked earlier about this bridge phase that Illinois is really getting pretty close to, well, we might not see that same sort of thing, even if the state guidelines, yet again, the mayor signaling that she may go stricter, and in fact, likely not planning to, even if that threshold is met statewide of 70% of individuals 65 and older, that's not going to happen because of this increase in cases. And just the governor also saying that he's fearful that people, be it because of the weather, more vaccines, other states' actions, or what, that people are just giving up on the guidelines that he still wants to be followed.
Now, turning to the city council meeting today, Heather, Mayor Lightfoot is hoping to boost the number of affordable homes in Chicago and fight segregation. Tell us about that.
Well, this has been a rewrite of the city's affordable requirement ordinance long in the works. Mayor Lightfoot campaigned on this issue, and she said that Chicago needs to do more to build affordable homes. And so she formed a task force. And last September, that task force found that basically the current law had only created less than 1,100 affordable apartments, and that those apartments were not affordable for Black and Latino Chicagoans. So the new proposal, which is just a proposal, it's not clear whether it will make it all the way through the city council, would basically increase fees for developers who want to build in wealthy areas that trigger the ordinance. And it gives the developers more incentive to build apartments that would be affordable for lower income Chicagoans and to build family size units. It's very hard to find a family size affordable unit in Chicago. And this ordinance is going to try to sort of chip away at that shortfall. But it's just a huge problem, and we are just starting this debate.
In Paris, after Evanston passes a first-of-its-kind reparations fund, the Chicago City Council is debating reparations. What could we see here? Something similar?
It remains to be seen what kind of package Mayor Lightfoot is going to support. I think she said she supported the concept of it, but not specifics. In Evanston, it's some of that marijuana revenue being used for housing. Will it look like that in Chicago? I don't think anybody knows. I mean, I think the Black Caucus is going to come forward with exactly what their proposal is, and it would seem to have a majority of support on City Council. The idea of it, but the specifics we don't know.
So in state news, Governor Pritzker getting his getting his only shot, his COVID vaccine on camera today, the one-shot Johnson & Johnson dose. Amanda, do the photo ops at this point, are they making a difference for folks who might be vaccine hesitant? And what took him so long?
I am guessing that if somebody is truly vaccine hesitant, what would truly help would be hearing from doctors, physicians, those who really study the data and can say what happens to the human body versus a politician. Then again, celebrity endorsements are a very powerful thing, evidently, or they wouldn't continue to happen. I'm not sure we're going to consider a politician a celebrity there, but I do think this is a case of sort of practice what you preach. And the governor, all elected officials really in sort of a tough spot of you want to get it to set an example and for their own protection because they're out and about. And at the same time, not wanting to seem as if, as this Loretto story shows, there is great frustration when it feels like somebody is cutting. And so he did get that shot. He waited that long because I think he was fearful of this public relations perhaps nightmare if it was seen as if he was getting ahead of other people. He says that he wanted everybody to, have their chance.
So in our ongoing coverage, we're going to go out on this one tonight, guys. Paris, the piping plovers at Montrose Beach may just get a bigger nest. What do we know? What gives?
We know that Monty and Rose are really romantic, and that dance that the plovers do is something else. Look at that. Look at the way. Look at the way Rose is kind of like, well, I'm not that interested, and Monty's really working hard. He really has to work here to get her love. But yeah, no, Alderman Kappelman, who you talked about earlier, wants, I think a larger area to have people be able to sort of witness the plovers and keep them safe. Yeah.
Obviously, we're going to follow the story very closely. In the meantime, my thanks to Spotlight Politics team Amanda Vinicky, Heather Sharon, and Paris Schutz.